Dave. Thanks for this tribute to Sid. We're all going to miss him, and so sad for Chad and the whole Hartman family. But I'm just so glad you're on the show this morning, bringing people in to talk about Sid, because as you said, it's a sad day, but it's also a day to remember him in such a positive way. And I have a lot of them. Memory.
Well, and of course, yeah, your dad and Sid worked together and knew each other quite well.
Yeah, they were, as you know, they were kind of rivals, and there was notorious stories of the two of them vying for column space in the sports section when they first started out. And they would literally, there's a story of my dad claims it's Sid, who went down to the typeset and like pulled up the print in the old days, they didn't before computers, so that he could get his column in instead of Sid's and get more space in. But they actually met, Dave, when Sid, of course, was about 8 years older than my dad, and Sid was writing, I think, as early as an intern, covering the high school basketball championship. And my dad played for the Ely team, which, believe it or not, was in the finals, playing Patrick Henry, which was this powerhouse, had only lost one game. My dad, who's only 5'7", gets off the bus in the big city, and who's there with the microphone the first time he met him but Sid, puts it in his face and says, "You guys don't have a chance. How are you going to win?" True story. And then they end up losing to Patrick Henry, ready for the score, 66-35. As my husband said, it's like Hoosiers, but it didn't end the same way. So anyway, that was their first meeting, their first encounter. And so from then it went on. Little did my dad know, when he starts writing for AP and then for the Strib, that they would end up being rivals, but then at the end, friends.
Yeah, they worked together a lot, and they both covered sports. I mean, your dad he had great columns on things other than sports, but he definitely had a focus on sports too.
Yeah, well, yeah, my dad covered, and especially the Vikings. So my dad did, and most of his career he spent writing his column about anything he wanted, but then he covered the Vikings, and then Sid would do some Vikings, of course, and everything else. And so, but Sid was always getting the scoop, as you know. He loved getting the scoop. I was looking at his autobiography last night, and he actually, the first chapter was about getting the scoop, the one he did with Royce. So it was good. And then, of course, I got to know him myself later. I remember many birthdays. I remember our moments together at CCO's booth, especially the state fair, when you and I and Sid and so many others performed, remember, in Minnesota Hospital. And you gave me the role of Nurse Helen, which we won't forget. And Sid, of course, played Dr. Kidney Hartman. So that was a pretty good memory, too.
We were always worried that your career might end right there with a big thud, but it didn't, thank goodness.
Well, I think what was amazing about Sid, we all know this, but what was it, 21,000 some byline, something like that, is how he just kept loving his job and kept going. And, you know, it's always hard as you get older. It's not as easy to do things, and he found a way. And it wasn't as easy, but he still found a way. And it was not just sports he loved. He loved our state. He loved our community. He just, that was such a big part of who he was. And we're going to really miss him.
Senator, I know your schedule. I know how tight the time is, and you've got a busy week, I know for a fact as well. I sure appreciate you taking this call and remembering Sid, but you have a unique insight into him that others don't through your father. Those are great stories. And I know there's many more, and I look forward at some point off the air of hearing all of those.
Wow, very good. Well, thanks, Dave. And thanks for, you were looking out for Sid a lot. It's not easy to be reporting in your 90s, and you were there with him, and that meant a lot. So thanks, Dave.
Well, thank you, Senator. Have a great day. We'll talk soon again. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good. Bye.
United States.